A group of about 40 protesters supporting the Black Lives Matter movement make their way peacefully through the city in Crown Point, Indiana. But, as you can see, standing on the side of the road, men and women armed with rifles. 20-year-old Cedric Cachetta carried a sign reading "My Life Matters" and smiled at those bystanders as he walked past. He said none of the men looked at him. Hello, my name is Julie Snook and welcome to 9 News Watch. Well, prosecutors have upgraded the charge against the police officer held accountable for the death of George Floyd to second-degree murder. Derek Chauvin's 3 colleagues have been charged with aiding and abetting murder. It remains to be seen if that is enough to bring an end to the widespread violence across the United States. In saying that, it is hard to imagine, though, when this is the message from some authorities in Florida.
The people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns. And they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
Former US President Barack Obama has spoken publicly for the first time about the unrest on the streets of the United States over the past week, throwing his support behind protesters, saying, "Remember that this country was founded on protest." He's also calling for police reform.
I am urging every mayor in this country to review your use of force policies with members of your community and commit to report on planned reforms.
Obama avoided any direct criticism of Donald Trump, but we couldn't help but ask the question on Facebook today: do you wish Barack Obama was in charge of the United States instead of current President Donald Trump? We would love to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below. Well, speaking of powerful messages, a store owner in the Bronx, New York City, has issued some stern advice to those looters currently taking advantage of the riots. Check it out.
You said Black Lives Matter. I worked here part-time. Plus, I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Why don't you choke me? I'm black. Look what you did to my store.
These are my dudes right here. Good
Look
men.
at the things you've done.
Good men.
Look.
The Black Lives Matter.
We've been here all night cleaning up. Get a job like I do. Stop stealing. This is the neighborhood. We're trying to build it up and you tearing it down.
The message is clear. Well, US President Donald Trump has defended posing with the Bible outside of St. John's Church at the White House after police used force and tear gas to clear the area for the occasion.
A very important symbol, and they tried to burn it down. Then I heard what wonderful people they are. No, they tried to burn down the church. And the military moved them back. I guess they just reported there were no, what would you call them, the rubber bullets or whatever. There was none of that used. They just moved them back. They didn't know until just shortly before that I was going there. Somebody suggested, I said, let's go, let's walk. And we walked from the White House. And I think everything was handled very well. I will tell you, religious leaders loved it. Religious leaders thought it was great. They loved it.
Meantime, his press secretary also tried to defend that photo opportunity.
Going and standing by St. John's Church was a very important moment. And I would note that through all of time, we've seen presidents and leaders across the world who have had leadership moments and very powerful symbols that were important for a nation to see at any given time to show a message of resilience and determination. Like Churchill, we saw him inspecting the bombing damage. It sent a powerful message of leadership to the British people. And George W. Bush throwing out the ceremonial first pitch after 9/11, and Jimmy Carter putting on a sweater to encourage energy savings, and George H.W. Bush signing the Americans with Disabilities Act flanked by 2 disabled Americans. And for this president, it was powerful and important to send a message that the rioters, the looters, the anarchists, they will not prevail, that burning churches are not what America's about.
At the same press conference, Ms McEnany defended the actions of the police who attacked 2 Australian journalists as they were clearing Trump's path to the church. In the last 24 hours here at 9, we've also been reminded of the danger our reporters and camera crews are in while bringing us the news every day. This morning, while live on the Today Show, 9 Europe correspondent Ben Avery and his cameraman Cade Thompson came under attack by protesters in the heart of London. Take a look at this.
Actually a bit of a clash with us here at the moment, and okay guys, so what's happened, we've been trying to walk away from the danger here, but it's been following us.
It had been bubbling away for quite some time, probably about an hour before that happened, a bit of aggro from people that had something against the media for whatever reason, so we tried to move away from them, but they'd followed us to the spot that we were doing that live cross. And as we were running off, there was a crowd of probably, I reckon, possibly 50 people running towards us. They were throwing bottles, they were shouting at us, they were having a good go at our security guard, who at one stage had about 15 guys around him. So luckily we managed to get there to UK Parliament. You can see the police running in, and eventually we got out of there.
Hours before, and fellow 9 correspondent Sophie Walsh was attacked live on air before those protests started in London. She was grabbed by a man who said Allah Akbar while making motions to stab her.
In 2016, but it descended into... Sorry.
Sophie, you okay?
Sorry. I just...
Sophie?
Yeah, I just had someone come up and try and... Yeah.
You okay, Soph?
Sorry.
It's all right, Sophie.
Yeah, a man just came up and grabbed me.
It's okay.
He's okay, he's not armed. A man just came up and grabbed me, though.
He sort of started punching me with... The only way I can describe it is sort of stabby motions. And I managed to push him away, and then he was standing about 5 metres away from me, and I just... While I was on air, that's why I was struggling to string a sentence together, but I was thinking he had a hand in his pocket, and I thought, does he have a knife, and is he going to come towards us and start stabbing us all?
The man was chased down by 9's cameraman Jason Conduit and bystanders until police arrived. Now, he has been arrested and charged with threats to kill and possessing an offensive weapon. Just terrifying stuff, and we wish our crews who are doing such a remarkable job overseas very, very well. All right, let's take a look at today's COVID-19 headlines now, and we'll head back overseas first. The autopsy has in fact revealed that George Floyd had tested positive for the virus on April 3. The 46-year-old suffered a heart attack while being restrained on May 25. A 53-year-old man who died in Bali on Tuesday night is thought to be the first Australian to perish of coronavirus in Indonesia. Back home in New South Wales has not recorded any community transmission of COVID-19 in 7 days. A fantastic result, according to the Premier, given the lifting of restrictions over the past couple of weeks. People are being asked to register interest in flights from Canberra to Wellington in July to test whether the Trans-Tasman bubble is safe. Meantime, Qantas is putting on more flights and returning staff to work, taking them from 5% of pre-COVID capacity to 15%. The NRL has revealed ambitious hopes of seeing crowds of 500 attending games by round 6 and up to 10,000 by round 10. And the NBA season is expected to resume on July 31 at Disney World in Florida, with teams playing an 8-game regular season. In other news today, the federal government has launched its $688 million home builder program in a bid to boost the construction industry post-COVID. Cash grants of up to $25,000 are available for new builds and renovations. But the opposition leader questioned who exactly was the target of the scheme.
There aren't too many battlers out there who have a lazy $150,000 who will see this announcement today and say, I'm going to go between now and December 31 and sign a contract for a project which is worth more than $150,000. That's a pretty decent renovation to your bathroom or to your kitchen. That's a substantial amount. I got a bathroom renovation not too long ago. Let me tell you, it wasn't 150 grand. It didn't have pool taps. It didn't have a gold bath.
He makes a good point. British police investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann have identified a new prime suspect in connection with the case. The breakthrough comes 13 years after the 3-year-old disappeared from a room at a holiday resort in Portugal as her British parents ate nearby.
He is a German national. He's currently in a German prison for an unrelated matter. He's white, he's about 6 foot in height. He's 43 now. At the time he was 30.
Scotland Yard have linked the man to 2 vehicles in the area at the time, a camper van and a Jaguar. Up next is the wrath of Mother Nature. A huge mudslide in Norway dragging several homes into the sea. Now, this is not what you want to see. The mesmerising footage was captured in Alta, one of the most northerly habitable areas in the country. The mudslide is estimated to be 600 metres wide and 150 metres high, taking with it 8 homes. Remarkable. It didn't swallow up more. Let's head back to our Facebook poll today, and we asked, do you wish Barack Obama was still in charge of the US rather than current President Donald Trump? Well, 57% of you said yes, while 43% of you said no. Thank you very much for your votes and your comments. Thanks also for joining us on 9 News Watch. Of course, you can catch us again tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. And we've seen so much heartache across the world this week, so much destruction on the streets. So we thought it'd be nice to leave you with a reminder from Washington, D.C. that there is still good in the world.